Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this March Masterclass. My name is Corrine Heck. I'm the CEO and founder of Details Flowers Software, and I'm just so very excited to introduce and welcome my friend Arnold Wittkamp from Thursd. Welcome, Arnold.
Hi, Corrine. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm
Good to
so
see
thrilled.
you.
Yes, good to see you too. I'm so thrilled to talk with you and really break it down about Thursd and what
Mhm.
you're doing with your online. Is it a magazine of sorts? What are we calling Thursd?
Well, for now, you can easily call it an online magazine, for sure. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I told you when I met you or we first conversed probably about a year ago now that I thought thirst was such a trendy like topic, and I always thought it was run by like two young girls, like teenagers, because it was just so fun and fresh. And then I met you and I thought you're not a young teenager at all.
No, and I
Or
also don't identify as a young teenager. So,
well, I'm just so excited to introduce, if people haven't met you or
Mhm.
Thirst, I'm going to give them a brief bio before we jump into all of our questions.
Cool. Yeah.
So, Arnold is experienced in advising and mentoring organizations and individuals on topics of strategy, content, product marketing, user experience, design, SEO, and business development. We're going to unpack all of that. At Thursd, it is his mission to help people connect from grower to end consumer and help them decide what to watch, what to follow, and what to buy. His team believes that the right mix of content and transparency is what Thursd's large international audiences like. Every day, Team Thursd strives to bring great, valuable content to all interested in flowers and plants. So everyone, welcome Arnold. Yeah, thank you. I think it's
Thank you.
really exciting and important work that you're doing. So how did you come up with this concept?
Well, it started already at a very early age. When I was in my teens, I basically discovered the wonder of nature. For me, flowers and plants are like magic.
Mhm.
And I already bought plants for my little room myself at a garden center close by. Then I started working at a flower market in the city center of Amsterdam, selling plants and flowers. And I'm like very curious. And I read a lot about plants and yeah, flowers. They really got me hooked from a young age. And then in my career, what I did, I had a flower shop, I was working at a wholesaler. And I think that all led to a point where I discovered that the owner of the product, the producers, the growers and the breeders, um, they create magic.
Mhm.
And then flower designers, they make sometimes art from it, or they make special designs, which are totally awesome, with the most beautiful flowers and plants that are being created in the world by these breeders and these growers. And that's like it's it's the most beautiful thing in the world, actually. And then in between there is this cowboy kind of wholesale system, which
Yeah.
is talking about how many fit in a box and how long can you cool store them, what's the price. And that doesn't feel right to me. So I already discovered in my former job, where I was importing garden roses and selling garden roses to wholesalers, that there is a huge demand for knowledge and information from the florist side to
Mhm.
discover what it's all about. And growers and breeders have tremendous difficulty of
Yeah.
reaching out to them. So in essence, my platform Thirst is exists because to make the connection between the owners and the creators of the products with the end users. And for me, the end user is not a consumer, it's a flower designer. So I focus on the smaller retailers worldwide, so not on the garden centers and the supermarkets. I really focus on yeah, what some people call master florists, floral designers, flower shop owners, independent garden center owners. That's my focus.
Yeah, I mean, you produce, I think, a tremendous amount of content. When I first stumbled across it, I was like, how are they keeping up with this? But the ideas just never stop. I'm so impressed with everything that you guys are putting out. That's part of the reason we wanted to be involved, because we try to produce a lot of content too, but you only have so many hours in the day. So how are you able to produce so much content? Is your team like super huge, or are you just up in the middle of the night just all of this Arnold
No,
yourself?
I'm not one of my people who is working for me is always up late at night. Now we call ourselves a content machine. So we produce a lot of content with the idea that people love content. Content is king. I kind of evolved into a marketeer, but naturally I didn't go to school for marketing. And for me, marketing is what the word means, market getting. So we are creating content to create audiences. And from these audiences, we create business cases. That's basically it, because we have to make money. And we're still losing quite a bit of money for the past 3 years. So we have really nice investors behind us who are helping us out a great deal, going forward to a point where we can implement these business cases in a natural way to create a different world for acquiring flowers and plants, basically. But it all starts with content. So we have 5 content writers, and we produce about 25 to 30 posts a week.
Yeah.
It was a bit less, but now with ChatGTP, it goes a bit quicker. So I am really happy with that.
Yeah, we were
Um,
talking about that yesterday.
yeah, it's awesome. And in 2 months, everything changed in that regard. But because all the editors come from the flower industry, so from different sides. So I've got Regine, who is a flower designer. We call her a floral connector. We've got Marcel, who comes from the wholesale system, so he knows what's wrong there, and he understands the needs of the growers and the customers. We have Brian, who is a Kenyan editor. We have Melissa, who lives in Ecuador. So we have also, in these flower producing countries, we have foot on the ground. And then we have some part-time editors who help us out, but they all come from the industry. So the industry is super complex industry. So it seems very easy, but if you compare it with your fruit and your vegetable industry, the flower industry is way more complicated.
Yeah.
There are 5 varieties of, for example, broccoli. There are hundreds of varieties of your roses. So
Right.
it's a really different world. And content in flowers and plants is actually quite easy because everybody likes it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always like super fascinating, some of the articles, and just the way you're able to peek inside like different studios or work with different designers. Even just this last week, I saw Natasha, who I had the opportunity to meet in Greece, and she was just fabulous. But, it's just to see a peek behind her world is just, what florists want to see is like, what is she
Yeah.
doing? But you also break down like the genetics, or even recently, I think you did an article on like the top 10 flowers that are featured in the Bible. I mean,
Yeah.
this is really like breaking down some interesting things. And I think very thought provoking, it's like, well, where did that come from? So it really is the service that you're doing for florists, and kind of making that passion for all of us grow a little deeper, I think is really, really important work.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. I don't see it as important work because we have a goal with the company. It's a company in the end, but we are all really amazed by the wonders of nature. And I think that's where it starts. So when you have an intrinsic motivation that basically every type of flower or plant has a story, it's very easy to write about flowers and plants. I couldn't think about writing about computers or about air conditioning stuff, or I don't know, but it's for flowers and plants, and people love it. So everybody loves it. So it's not for us, it doesn't feel difficult at all.
Yeah. So Thursd. So how did that name come to be? Because I think it's really, really clever. And I'm surprised that .com wasn't taken already. So
Yeah.
like kudos to you on that. But
Yeah, we
tell
were
me about
kind of
that.
doubting in the beginning because if you Google it, you still get a Google making Thursday out of it. So, but in the end, Thursday was the beginning because on Thursday, when I was sending out newsletters before Thursd, always we did it on the Thursday because it's the slowest day in the business for flower shops and for yeah, the wholesalers. So the opening rate on Thursday was best. And then we thought about, well, people are thirsty for content and flowers and plants are thirsty. So, and then back then in 2019, when we came up with the name, it was very trending to have a very short name. Also a name that doesn't say anything. And if a name doesn't say anything, you can do everything with it, basically. So it's
Yeah.
not limiting us in any way.
That's awesome. So have you always been an entrepreneur, did you say?
Yeah, although I also have worked for bosses, but it was always a necessity and a step towards my independence. I am not a person who you would like to hire for in a company because
No, you're
I'm a
better being
difficult
the boss.
person. Yeah,
Yeah, you just point your fingers and say, Regine, write this for me.
yeah, yeah. So I never worked longer than 2 or 3 years somewhere because then they just got fed up with me because I said that's not good, you should change this. And no,
Oh,
but
that
I had many businesses. I had a flower shop actually also. So I didn't go to school for floristry, and I can make great bouquets and large pieces. Don't ask me to make a wired bright bouquet because that's not my cup of tea, but I know my varieties, I know the nomenclature, I know the things what go, and I think I've got an eye for design. So
yeah,
I can see what's beautiful.
yeah. It really helps you appreciate it, or it helps to appreciate what you're writing about too. So, and you
Yeah.
know how much work goes into it. So I think when you post about or write content about some of these fabulous designs, you know all the hours and love and painstaking like talent it took to like put it together.
Yeah, and some things I think it's like children playing with glue and with stuff. And then I think, oh my gosh, it's like grown-ups playing with glue. And some other things are just like amazing. But I've seen so many different designs throughout the years that for me, the flower itself or the plant itself is already a wonder. And for me, I like designs where you can see the flower or the plant. So all the glittering and the wiring and the rope and that's not my cup of tea, but I understand people love it. So and I am not the one writing about it. So that's also cool.
So you have like relationships, I think, with gosh, hundreds, if not thousands of people in the industry. How do you go about cultivating that, those relationships? And where did you start? Like where was the first, what was the first thing you did when you started Thursd?
Well, when I had my flower shop, my wife got pregnant. I don't know how that
Yeah.
happened, but it happened. And I was working 6.5 days a week. So the Sunday afternoon, I had my day off. And then they started a subway construction in front of my shop, which meant that there's nobody walking anymore. So I went almost bankrupt. And then a guy walked in from a wholesale company and he said, you should come to work in the city of Aalsmeer where the flower auction is, blah, blah, blah. I know my languages. And I just did that and I worked there. And then I hit basically rock bottom when I was 40. That's now almost 10 years ago. So they kind of fired me after 3 years. And I was sitting at the city hall asking for welfare. And
Okay.
and I had 3 kids and we just bought a house. And I was like, how this happened to me, you know? So I was
One
like,
child turned to 3. My gosh.
yeah, but
You
also
could have
like
figured out
no
what was
plan,
happening.
no nothing. I lived in Amsterdam all my life. It was partying and drinking and going out and doing lots of stuff. And then I was 40. I decided, well, this is not going okay if I continue like this. So I started to do some self work.
Mhm.
I read a couple of books, and that really changed me. So I decided, well, I'm going to do something where my passion is. I love flowers and plants. I know that. I like to talk. I can sell. I know marketing. So I'm going to be the CEO of Royal Floral Holland in the future. That was my goal. And
Okay.
anything I do should not conflict with it and should basically move myself forward to that. I read this book of Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week, where he
Mhm.
described when you want to become a specialist, you basically read the 4 books about that specialism. Then you go out to a university and you ask, can I just rent a classroom in the evening? And then you go do a lecture for your family and friends. And then you film it, you put it on YouTube, and then you say, well, this is the lecture of Arnold Wittkamp about this and this at the University of Amsterdam. So you claim a kind of authority, and that's kind of what I did. So I started blogging about marketing, about how to perform on Pinterest, how to become a basically YouTube specialist. And I'm like a sponge, so I'm very curious. So I was reading all these blogs, and I made my own blog from it, specialized for the flower industry. And so I got in these magazines for growers and these papers for florists, and people got to know me. And then I started doing films at growers. So I went live at in total 70 growers in the Netherlands at 7 o'clock every Tuesday morning. I went live to talk about the life of the grower in 30-40 minutes. So, and that's how I kind of became famous within the Dutch floriculture industry.
Okay.
And then I was working at we were basically importing the most beautiful flowers in the world, the garden roses of David Austin and of Maillat, the Yves Piaget. And so I was working with the most beautiful roses back then. And then back then garden roses were not that trending. And we kind of find the right spot and the right time, and we were marketing florists, and the company moved forward really, really fast. And that's how I basically ended up knowing a lot of people, also because of the Facebook group I had and the writing I did and knowing a lot of growers. And for that company, I had made a video to basically put the company in the spotlight to be sold. And with the film director and his wife on the way back, we decided to start Thirst. That's
Wow.
basically how it happened, that we both saw the need for information for floral designers, but in a bit more fashionable way. It's most news from the floral industry is very it's not appealing to flower designers who are basically artists. And and there's so much to tell, and there's so much to know.
So what during that time, like, was there any advice like a mentor gave to you, or did you have a mentor before you started Thirst?
No, my mentor was Stephen Covey from the book the 7 Habits. It was for me my kind of eye-opening book. I think I've read it 10 times, and I've marked it with markers. I know it, and it was basically what he said was start being just proactive. So you are in charge, and then everything you start with the end in mind. And that was for me the best advice I ever discovered myself. So if it's raining, it's no use of complaining, because you cannot change it. So you can, and when an airplane lifts off, it's always going somewhere, and
Mhm.
things can happen during the trip. So you can have a headwind, there can be a disaster, but then you go land somewhere else, and you go to lift off again to somewhere else. You always have a plan. And before I was 40, I never had a plan.
Yeah. Well, I think that's so important. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, or especially florists that are starting their businesses, they often don't have an end plan. They just want to make the flowers. So I do think that
Yeah.
that's such an important thing. And I think that you're really inspiring a lot of florists just through your articles and and your inspirational topics that you're writing about. Do you feel like it's really necessary for florists to have like a certain marketing plan attached to their business as they're going along?
It depends on what you want, because I know many floral designers who just want to work with flowers and drink a glass of wine at the end of the evening. So that really depends on what you want. So I know many florists who look very unhappy, who look very sad and busy, and then I always think, wow, you work with the most beautiful stuff in the world, man. Just chill.
They're not using details. They're overstressed.
So yeah, so everybody is different, and of course I've got my view on things, and I don't want to tell anybody that they do things wrong, because that's not for me to decide. But if you want to grow your business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, then maybe a flower shop is not the best decision. So and if you do want to be on top, then I think you have to specialize and create a niche and make yourself an authority in that niche, so that you get the guests, so you get the customers you want, basically. Because, and on the other hand, I know businesses who are selling 2, 3 to 4, 5,000 a day. They're just like processing flowers, and they could have sold anything else. It doesn't matter for them if it's your flowers or something else. But yeah, for me, when I hand you over a daisy, when I just give you a like real daisy and I give it to you, and you reach out your hand, something magical happens. It's like with flowers, it's like, that's for me, it's like magic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen with anything else. And yeah, I sometimes, when I see flower designers working really hard and complaining about prices and this, and I think, oh my gosh, you work, just chill, you know. So what do you need?
No, I definitely think there's a power in flowers, and especially I witnessed this last week, walking around DC and seeing all the cherry blossoms in bloom, and the thousands of people that were there with their cameras out, but they were all smiling, just so happy.
Yeah.
So I feel like florists really need to get back to understanding like the power that they're able to hold in their business, but they also need to be profitable too. So they can't give it away for free, all their magic.
It's an extremely hard job. I had a flower shop for 5 years, and for me it was just too much in every regard, because in the morning somebody comes in who is seeking for somebody's birthday, and 30 minutes later somebody walks in to buy a funeral piece for his baby of 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then an elderly lady walks in and he says, oh, I want you to make my funeral piece when I die. And it was, for me, like, no, for me was way too heavy. It was for me, I was too sensitive for it.
Yeah, I feel like we're often the counselors in all these life situations and moments. So do you often find that, how do you take content for Thursd? Like if someone had an idea for an article, would you publish it? Or
yeah, sure. We of course we are all flower and plant lovers, so we subscribe to any newsletter there is. We are also following architectural blogs and fashion blogs. There's so much happening, and then of course we also decide, okay, what kind of topics does Google like to show? Is what something people are looking for? So we also work with keyword research for our search engine optimization strategies. So we also specifically choose topics of what we believe is of interest of a lot of people. So soon you will get an article about Pineapple Day. It's a day that exists, and the pineapple is a beautiful plant actually also. So it's going to be a fun story. But there is so much with flowers and plants. You connect so much with it. And then we have some sponsored content. So we also work for, we have to make some money. So we also work for some breeders and growers, and then we promote their varieties or their take on things, or we do interviews for them. So it's a mixture. Since a couple of months, we started to also publish articles which are not directly related to flowers and plants. There was an article about a photographer who did basically ocean photography or tree photography in Finland. Then again, it's a tree, so it has something to do with flowers and plants. We have a hummingbird article on Thursd at the moment. Yeah, it's nature. So we also, there's no end to flowers and plants and nature.
Well, I think it's really interesting to find like florists can be published in your article, and it's internationally reaching. I mean, you have a great base of customers worldwide, and it's not just in the US. I think you have a stronger European market, if I'm not mistaken. Can you break down kind of like what the readership is of Thursd?
I think we have two types of readers. One who comes to Thursd via Google, so organically. Most of them are consumers, and most of them come from English-speaking countries. So the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, the Netherlands. Everybody speaks English here too. A bit of Germany, and then we have a B2B audience, which is really into the flower world. So flower designers, growers, breeders, traders, other suppliers, and they are, I think 25% is the Dutch area because we're located here and I've got a lot of connections here.
Mhm.
And then another 20% is the US because we do publish in English. And then we have the major countries, so like Germany, France, UK, Scandinavia, and then a little bit in Kenya, in Colombia, in Ecuador, flower producing countries. And those, the most of our newsletter subscribers in the beginning were the B2B world. So we know when we send out the newsletter and we see what happens, we see that it's those countries. But we now have almost 300,000 monthly views, of which the majority is just consumer finding us via Google, or it's a flower shop owner. I don't know, but because Google doesn't tell me what the profession is of somebody. But I believe that I think we're going to make a split at the end of the year between a consumer-oriented site and a B2B site, which will be behind a kind of paywall to really connect flower designers with the breeders and making these connections directly possible. Because my dream in the end is to make it possible for the growers and the breeders to have a conversation directly with their direct end customer. So, and that's impossible today. And if they can reach out to one another and they can do business or they can do promotions together, and Thursd will be a platform making that possible, then I think we can disrupt the current system also.
Yeah. Well, and I talked to you about that just yesterday because we were kind of prepping for this and talking about some other things. I have my weekly call with Arnold. You know, I have to get the lowdown on what's happening in the industry. But I think that's really interesting. That I think if I understand it correctly, you would like wholesale companies or breeders or growers to put out like an ask, and then florists can respond to that almost as like an RFP or a request for proposal, like they would do in like the hospitality industry.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So when I'm a floral designer and I have this great wedding in the city of Monaco with the royal family, and I'm going to do a huge party, then I would love to ask if there are growers or breeders who are interested in sending me their flowers. And I know these flowers, these growers are also really, really interested in working together with cases like that. And that's the way it goes today, is that you have your own network and you always ask the same people. Right. But if you make that in a more, how do you say, in a more automized way, then I can be a flower designer and I'm going to say, well, listen, I have this great party. Who is going to help me? And then growers and breeders, they can pitch basically on it. Wow. And also the other way, I'm a breeder and have this fantastic new yellow orchid. Who wants to work with it? And maybe I need photography, maybe I need video, maybe I need you to share it on your Facebook page. Or as a wholesaler, maybe I want my web shop login on your Facebook page. That's something we as Thursd, we will never do, because we will always be the independent in between, but we like to make those connections more possible. And that's one of the business cases we are working towards now. Now we have this thing going after 3 years, that a lot of people finally know us and can find us.
Yeah. And we love sharing it too. And we always appreciate, any articles that you write about details, because we find that, not a lot of European countries know about our software. So it was a really adventurous thing for us to jump in with you. But when we see like the amount of feedback, or like just the impressions that we're able to pull from people looking at our sites, it's hugely helpful. So I imagine that other companies, when they're trying to promote their products, look, what better resource would you put this on than someone that's at the connector of all of that? Have you been on a company like fair.com? Have you seen this? FAIRE?
No.
It's basically like where you can buy wholesale anything, but you almost have to know what you're looking for before you start. Do you imagine this future site just to be like the most recent things popping up, or will it be like the paid things are at the top, or is it just like you search for yellow orchids and then you see all the things with yellow orchids?
I don't have a crystal ball, but my problem with the current situation is that it's a stock-based system. So we are growing stuff. We have this data bank of what's available, and then you have a 50,000 products every day. And then they just say, well, come pick and choose. And the ones who are selling it are not the ones who are producing it. And the ones who are selling it, they keep everybody in the dark, because that's the way the system works. It's not that they're bad or evil people. That's just how things work. It's the same as you buy a second-hand car. Everybody says, yeah, it's been from an old lady. So it's a fresh product. It's the best price. It's directly from the grower. And so I'd like to see a system in where you can just connect with the source. And the way that really will become, it's difficult to foresee, because technology goes so fast now. But for me, it's like, how cool would it be that you can just upload your flower table and you get your best suggestion how to fill the table based on your customer demographic needs.
Yeah.
I don't think that will be very difficult in the future. Or you buy flowers based on your own history or on your own feedback. So why not at the end of the Saturday give feedback to your own purchasers to make your own buying system cleverer? Forecasting, but also from the grower, because the grower is always seeking to maximize his price. So, but then they sell it to basically wholesalers who are going to maximize the price.
Right.
So that's very strange. So why? So we know in week 15 in the south of Germany, it's all yellow, and in the north of France, it's white. So why would you dare offer them at the same time or for the same price? So I think in the end, you need logistics, and you need finances, and you need fulfillment. So the current system will in some way still be there, and there will be cash and carries, because if you have a customer in your flower shop and he's buying everything, you need to refill your stock very quickly. So there will be a place where you can buy very expensive flowers, but the bulk of the flowers is going to be bought in a completely different way. I cannot imagine that the current system still exists in 10 years.
Yeah. I think it's, we were also, when we were wrapping up, and I had the opportunity to host an event with Regine, who's on this call. And I think Thursd was a sponsor of this, the Floral Association of Greece. And at the end of the conference, we were sitting down to a glass of wine, because of course, florists, you design a lot and then that's all you want is a glass of wine, right? But we were talking about, what did you say he bought? Not Bitcoin, but what is it?
I bought a completely new NFT of a flower.
NFT. Yes.
Yeah, there is this. It's called. There is an article on Thursd, but you have to find it. It's not so easy. It's basically a developer. They developed 2,500 flowers with all different characteristics, and you can buy one, and then you can ask other owners to breed, to basically hybridize with the other one. You pay a little fee, and then the two flowers, they produce a baby with new characteristics, which is like, for me, like, wow, this is, and I'm a Bitcoin fan and I love a blockchain, and I
Yeah,
have,
I'm just arguing with
I've
Regina
won some
about
money,
it.
I've lost a lot, but but this NFT, this basically this world where they creating, basically this system created its own new characteristics, like when you crossbreed roses.
Yeah.
Only now you can crossbreed an NFT. And then,
Yeah.
so I bought one, and it's a very ugly one. But
Well,
the
I
moment
wasn't
when
going to tell you that, but no, just kidding.
so
But
so the moment when you could buy it, it was still not clear how it looked, because then otherwise the pricing would be strange. And Marcel, who works with me, he's got a beautiful one.
oh,
So, and then I think when I'm going to breed with him, maybe I get like the most beautiful flower out of it, because my genetics of my digital NFT, of course, are maybe better than his.
yeah, this whole like NFTs, the Bitcoin, the blockchain, this meta world that we're all going to be living in the future is like kind of, it's a little beyond me. And I'm living my life in a tech, software company, but I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I like reality. But you've recently started using this chat GBT in your articles, which I think is kind of fascinating. And you're gonna be able to get rid of all of your writers, Regine. I was
No, no,
very
no, no,
scared
no,
of
no,
this.
no, no, no. It's no. It's like, I think a month ago I told my whole team, "Wow, this AI, we should better not do it, because Google wouldn't like it, and Google will see it's all AI written."
Yeah.
And then I dove into it, and basically what I understand of it now, and I'm like a beginner also, but it's like the AI is not going to replace people. It's the people who use AI who are going to replace people. And you have to tell the AI what it should do, and you can only tell the AI what to do when you are a bit knowledgeable about the niche you are in.
Yeah.
So my team, I'm training now my team to basically give the right prompt. That is to tell the AI what to do, and to give you a short idea. My prompts are sometimes 200 words. I tell the AI, okay, you are a blogger on Thursd.com. You write in enthusiastic and positive way. You are always factual. And so I give it a kind of instruction how it will perform. And then I'll ask, okay, give me 7 prehistoric plant varieties that are still available today in the trade. Tell them about the origin, about how they survived this millions of years. And then you get Broep, you get like, you are doing your own research on Google for a whole day, you get it in 2 minutes. And then you have this text, which you, of course, have to change a little bit. It's not that you like copy paste from and you think about, okay, so what do I miss? What would people like to know further? So you will ask more questions, and then sometimes they just give the wrong answer. So you also have to be a bit knowledgeable about, so what's true and what's not true.
Yeah.
But it makes it way faster, and you are way more productive, and you can basically write content about stuff which we would normally wouldn't do so quickly, because it's so time consuming.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's it's just super fascinating to me. Even you gave me the example. Maybe we were planning a trip to visit flower fields in, Austria or somewhere. It could plan out your entire itinerary based on what you want to see and when you want to have that glass of wine. It would tell you where to go.
Yeah. So it's no more like, a trip advisor. Okay, what are the fun things to do? And then you have all these sponsored expensive things you can do, and then you go locally, you can do it for a fifth of the price. It for now, ChatGTP is not sponsored by anything. That's my fear for the future, that you will ask an AI a question and then it's in the end it's sponsored by a company. So when I ask medical advice, I wouldn't like it if it would say it was sponsored by Pfizer or anyone. So and that's what, and it goes so fast because I use ChatGTP 4 now for 2 weeks, which is 500 times faster than ChatGTP 3,
Wow.
which only exists for 3 months or something. When did this all start?
And it's learning more and more just by the prompts
It's
that
crazy.
people
It's
are
crazy,
asking.
and it will change everything. It will. I've got kids, and it will change schooling systems. It will change. It will change everything, and I'm sure for the best, but also for the worst. So that's the way things go always. And
We have
luckily, we are
comments.
only dealing with flowers and plants, so we have to
I
keep it
know.
simple.
I know, let's keep it simple. We have a few comments. Ashley Rodriguez said, I love this idea of connecting designers so directly with growers. And we got a heart on that.
Yeah.
Regine says she loves it too. Oh, to help with these connections will be my goal and happy to start this part of Thursd. Thank you. Aaron McClarty says, I would love more growers to sell directly. I don't like using websites like Hilverda de Boer. I do love Hilverda de Boer, but let's go, because it's so overwhelming and so expensive. And I would agree that these websites are pretty overwhelming when you get on them, just to see all the possibilities. We do hope that when people are using details, it kind of condenses their ask list. So maybe there's something in tandem here where we can consolidate our list and then just send it magically to Thursd, and voila, you have your whole order done. I don't know, something to think about there, Arnold.
I will.
Yeah, I have a comment here. I can do what I love most with ChatGPT 4, write extremely well, but quick, and take my time and connect with florists and designers. Yeah, it's it really is interesting, the future of technology, and we're seeing it right in front of our face.
It's like the beginning of the internet, only it goes 100 times faster. So I would really wish that everybody of every age would go look into it, what this AI machine can, and how you can use it for your own good. Because if you don't, you will, I think,
fall behind.
I think you will fall behind, especially in when you're having a business. And if you're just creating beautiful bouquets and you're doing artwork and you have your niche, it's not a necessity of course, but for business owners and content writers or content creators or marketers, it's like a no-brainer to start.
Well, and it really comes down to, for florists that are trying to create a segment in their local industry, they need to have blogs and things out on the internet that are talking about their products. So sometimes I think it could get a little mundane where you're not really sure how to make something original. But if you just come up with a really good prompt that might mix in where you're from and talk about this, then the AI will learn about you, and then it will be helping you write different dynamic content about your site.
It can create your Facebook posts, your Twitter posts. It can just create a good call to action for you. It's I got a mail this morning from somebody and didn't understand anything of it, and I asked ChatGPT to explain it to me. It was like, that's what he means.
Oh, that's amazing. So in closing, I would what benefit does Thursd do you think it has for floral businesses? Just what would you say the main benefit of Thursd would be?
Well, in general, I think we do a kind of collective marketing towards the consumer to buy more flowers and plants. I think that's one thing we do. We do it not really, how do you say, intentionally, but that's what happens, of course, when you talk about flowers and plants. For flower designers specifically, you can get a lot of you could get a lot of content about specific varieties. So it's a lot, I think also in a flower shop, it's a lot about storytelling. And so
Mm,
why is a customer going to a flower shop? Is going to a flower shop because it's real people with real stories. I think that will, with all the AI and the metaverse, will be a very important part of life, to go
mm,
to real people. And because online you don't know anything anymore if it's fake or not. So um, and then what's the truth? That's the person who is, yeah, promising you, who's telling the truth. And who better to trust than a real person in front of you? So I think the future looks bright for smaller flower shops in the end, I think. And then we're going to make an awesome, yeah, website where we first will connect the flower shops with the growers and the breeders to do promotions, novelties, and specialties. And perhaps that leads towards a disruption like booking.com did when you want to book your hotel. So
yeah.
I really like to become the booking.com, Airbnb, Uber of the flower industry. Because I really believe that in the interest of creating new flowers and plants, it's necessary that these breeders have direct contact with the users.
Yeah.
And then I think when we can make it happen, that they get the right price for it, and think you can still be cheaper than we are today, working with the chain as it is.
Yeah. Well, the
To
chain
talk,
is definitely, I think, needs a lot of help, from knowing what's coming to providing the right type of flowers. And, it's all about supply and demand, but it,
yeah,
it,
but it's also, I've worked at different wholesalers, so I know a bit how they talk and how they work. It's, in the end, it doesn't really matter what you sell, as long as you sell a lot
oh,
and you make margin on the, yeah, product. That's, so it doesn't matter which flower it is in the end for them. And that's not right or wrong. That's just the way systems work.
mhm,
And yeah, then you have to mark up your price. So in Europe, it's not uncommon that there's 100% markup.
yeah,
So and what, and what for?
yeah,
Everybody
well,
has got his own marketing department. Anyone has got his own IT department. Anyone has got his own buying department, the selling department, the offices. And so if you all count that money, what is being used for the system, um, then yeah, you can think about, okay, how did I book a hotel before the 1990s? Okay, I went through books. And so, and now you go to booking.com and you have basically direct contact with the owner. And yeah, is it better than before? I think for the customer experience, it's much easier.
yeah. Well, I think I always really wanted transparency when I was buying, and also ease of access, and like what
Yeah,
was going to like make it the simplest process for me in anything that you do, whether it's buying a plane ticket or buying,
yeah,
flowers. So like that's part of the reason why we've created Details. And I see Aaron's comment here. It's interesting with Details because I buy from JetFresh, but I still contact Jimmy directly instead of using Details for a quote, partially because some of what I need to order is not enough volume to bulk order, and partially just habit. So change your
yeah.
habits, Aaron. He wants to see
Yeah.
those orders coming in through Details. But but I think that's great. Well, so tell me, part of this, you say that people like to go into flower shops to meet people directly and have that face to face. Where can people meet you directly? Like, are you attending any flower events? Where can we find you, Arnold?
I tried to fly to, yeah, Greece last week or 2 weeks
I
ago, but then there
know.
was a strike and my ticket was canceled. No,
I know.
I tried to visit a few fairs. I am not really um yeah, I'm not, it sounds strange, but I'm not really a people person, I guess. So
No,
um,
who would have
um,
guessed?
I like to go to fairs and I talk a bit to people, but I like my team to do that and bring me back some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I'm planning on going to, I'm not really planning to go anywhere anytime soon. I was going to Kenya for the fair there in June, but then we decided, because I turned 50, to go on a holiday. And now Regine is going, so that's fine too.
Yeah.
And so I like to travel a lot, but not for business.
No, I know you're more for pleasure. I know you're off in Thailand or all these South
I like
Asian
the tropics. Yeah. I like the tropics. Also for the plants and the nature. For me, it's I live in the Netherlands, so it's like it was again freezing last night, and now it's getting a bit lighter.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel the older I get, the better the tropical climate is going to be for me. So who knows what will happen in the future.
Brian asks, are you going to symposium?
Yeah,
AIFD
I will.
Chicago.
Yeah, well, I will for sure be in the major fairs in November in the Netherlands. I'm planning on going to New York in September at the Flower Expo, I think it's called, the World Expo.
Yeah, the World. I'll
so
be
there
at
is one in
Brian, and I think Regine will be there too. Yes, Regine, are you going? And you also do Inner Floral? Are you going to that Manchester, UK event? Or
I don't think I will go
Flora
there,
Moore
no.
in Belgium?
Flora Moore, I skipped last year, so maybe I go this year again.
We got to get you into more people, like more people, people pleaser.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, you do.
I don't know if I will go to symposium. There's a good chance. I try to combine it to go to Yoli and Aspen.
Okay, Yuli and Aspen. Well, if in Manchester, we're going to be hosting a cocktail party. So you're definitely invited, Regine. You'll be invited to, Arnold, if you go. And Brian, if you want to come, we'll treat you to a cocktail. I think there's going to be a gin bar or something. It's on that.
Yeah, I think Regine is the real world traveler.
She is.
And I like to stay at home with the kids and the dog and have a holiday once in a while.
And he's just busy typing away with his AI.
Well, actually, the fun thing about Thursd is because I kind of created it myself, and now all these things happening. We're now with 12 people, and we do very different things. So we're really also into the SEO, into software development. So I am a guy, I like to know a little bit about a lot of things, and that really works for me. So I do a bit of writing, I do a bit of bookkeeping, I do a bit of SEO, I do a bit of software. And so for me, that's just perfect.
Yeah.
And when I go to a fair, I know I'm there for 2 days, I'm like exhausted for a week.
I know. I started traveling March 2nd and got home this week, and you hear what it did to me. So my body starts breaking down when I travel. So I need to send more people out and have them go, but I like to go, I like to go and see. So, well, it's been really wonderful catching up with you. I thank you for sharing everything Thursd we should have did it on a Thursday. I don't know what I was thinking, hosting this on a Tuesday. We should have.
Every day is a Thursd day.
Every day is Thursd. Yeah. I get those emails every day, and I scroll through them and see what I need to learn about. So thank you for that. And thank you to everybody who popped on and joined us. And if you have any questions for Arnold, you can probably reach him directly by email, or maybe not. Send it to Regine. No.
Send it to me, arnold@thursd.com. I'm quite accessible. So, and I want to thank you for having me on. It was a great thing to do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And we're going to edit this down and we'll send it out. So if you have any other questions about joining Thursd or getting started with details, please feel free to reach out to us. But thank you, guys. Have a great afternoon. And
thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you. We'll stop the video there, but yeah, thank you, Arnold. It's great. And Brian, I thanks for having your camera on, Brian. It was fun to have you to look at this go around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Regine. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay.